All right, here we go. Big sets. We are talking about ultimates and signature sets. We're talking about how to sell these things. So, first thing, this is basically what we're going to cover. I think it's important that you understand the sets, that you have belief in the value of the sets, you understand who buys these things, and then a little bit of how to, right? Like, how do you actually do this? There's so much value in you guys getting good at this one area. And what I mean by this is, you think about these sets and you think about whatever your average order is. Your average order might be $250, right? And when you sell one of these, it's worth, you getting out there and doing 6 sales, right, at something else. In other words, 6 sales, which maybe takes you 10 appointments to get the same thing from just one of these. So here's the idea I want you to entertain when it comes to this. The objective of me teaching you how to do this stuff, it's not so that you're selling these in every demo, okay? The idea here is, hey, if I can mix in one larger set sale per 10 or 15 appointments, that's going to have a drastic impact on my overall results, right? So here's what I mean. If I do 15 appointments, so there's many of you guys that are in your fast start right now. If I'm doing 15 appointments a week this summer, which I think that's what a lot of, like, once you get to the higher pay, if you're doing 15 appointments a week, you should be selling $2,000, $3,000 each week, which again, that means that you're making $600 to $900 a week for just doing 15 appointments from your home, right? I think everybody would sign up for that. So what I mean by this is, hey, every 10 to 15 demos, if you sell one ultimate, signature, or I would even include a homemaker into this, well, you just drastically increased your orders. Everything else the same. You could have a bunch of middle-sized orders, one solid sale per 10 or 15, and your average order now is $350, $400. Right? This is what Jared Erickson does so well, is he has larger set sales, right? And as you get, this is just like anything else, as you get better at it, it is a skill, you'll sell more and more. So yesterday, Jared had 4 appointments. He sold a homemaker on his first appointment, and then he dropped his signature last night. Right? About a 3K day yesterday. And Jared didn't sell those all the time when he was brand new. He learned how to do it. Okay. And so if right now in your mind, you're like, man, I'm so far away from that. Like, this is the first step by just learning about this stuff. Okay. So first off, oh, wow, that's awesome. And auto-populated. Let me show you this. Hold on. Colleen, thanks for your shortcut. It shows, there we go. All right. So take a look at this. I would take a screenshot of this. And this way you just have it, right? You've got it on your computer. So when I say big sets, I would include a homemaker in this. And what I want to teach you how to do is I want to teach you how to, by the way, if you've never done a screenshot on your computer, if you've got an Apple, you just do Shift, Command, and 4. Shift, Command, and 4. And it opens up a little cursor. You drag a window around what you want to snap on your computer. Shift, Command, 4. And then, then it snaps a picture and saves it. All right. So, it's really tough to sell something that you're not familiar with. And so that's why it's important that we go through all this stuff so that you get it. So prices right there, 5Pay right there, free stuff right there. And then there's the special price. That's the quarantine special. So if you're trying to sell one, you need to reduce the price. That's the price you can reduce it to. The number in parentheses at the bottom, that's the 5Pay for that price. All right. Now, here's first thing that I want you to write down in terms of tips. I need you to change the names from Ultimate, Signature, and Homemaker. So I need you to start calling them something else. The Ultimate set, I want you to start calling that the Complete set. Ultimate sounds big and scary. There's a lot of people that are like, well, I'm not an over the top type of person, so I don't think I'd get that. But if you say it's the complete set, that makes it sound a lot more logical of like, oh, I get something that's complete. The idea here is it's the complete set, right? It's got everything. The signature set, change that. I want you to call it the family set. Now, guys, you can't change the visuals. So on the online presentation, it says ultimate, it says signature. But when you're talking, you want to refer to it as the complete set, the family set. And then our homemaker set, you want to call that our basic. Oh, that's just the basic set. So what I want you to be introduced to here is that when you start showing the bigger sets, what it does is it makes the homemaker, AKA the basic set, look pretty small, right? Like look at those prices. When you're starting with the ultimate steak knife and it starts at $3,049, by the time you get down to that basic set of $1,300, doesn't that seem like a little bit? And perspective is what really matters. I remember the first time I ever went condo shopping in Omaha. I thought I was going to stay there for a little longer than I did, so I started to look at condos. And the first and I found that this is what they do. But the first building I went into, they said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Probably just like a 2-bedroom, something smaller." And they said, "What are you thinking for budget?" I said, "Probably around, $300,000. And then they said, "Okay, cool. Hey, we're just, I'm going to start with the same one I show everybody. I love showing this one. What do you think it was?" It was their nicest one available. So it was like floor to ceiling, glass windows, overlooking downtown. It was like $600,000. This is in Omaha, and this is years ago, right? But, I couldn't afford it. I wasn't looking for that. But what it did is then all of a sudden they showed me something that was a little smaller. By the time we got to a 2-bedroom for $300,000, I was like, this thing sucks, right? It totally shaped how I felt about what I was getting for the money. Then the next condo building I went to, same deal, except their larger one was even larger. And again, what it got me to realize, if I were buying that day, I probably would have spent more than what I originally told them I was looking for. Does everybody follow that? So when we start high, it raises that level up of what they're thinking of spending. Okay, so this is all really important. Let's go through really quick. And let's, I'm going to take you to make sure that you understand what is in the set. All right. So Google Chrome. All right, can you guys see that? It's loading. Okay. So, you guys should know what's in here. I'm just going to pull it up. Let's just go right to the homemaker set, or to the, not the ultimate, but the complete. Okay, so here you go. When you're looking at this set, it's important that you just understand the differences. So first off, if you go to where the fork is, right here, everything from the left all the way to the fork, that's the homemaker. So everything to the right is additional. So this thing's enormous. I have this set at home. It's awesome. And it really does make cooking more enjoyable because we're able to use all the knives that are designed for, unique tasks. All of the descriptions are right underneath there. But the thing I want you to understand is nobody's going to buy this big of a set because they literally analyze every piece and they're like, yep, I would do that. I would use this. It's the same thing with tool sets. You guys all know people that have this like monster set of tools in their garage. They didn't go through and handpick every tool. They bought the big freaking set of tools. Right? They said, I'm going to treat myself. I'm handy in the garage or whatever, and I'm going to get this big set. And so with this, that's why people get this. What you want to pitch with this is that on the left, you got the everyday knives. On the right, you got the specialty knives. It gives you the big, more fun knives, like the big choppy knives and the big meat knives. It also tosses in our most famous cheese knife. Remember, that's the one that you can make the joke on. Ha, ha, ha. It's the holy knife, only on Sundays. Right? All right, it comes with the scissors, and then your option on this are 12 steak knives or 12 table knives. So remember, in the homemaker set, you get 8 table knives or no table knives. The galley set is 6 table knives, no table knives. This thing doesn't come with an option of none. It comes with 12 steak or 12 table. And on this set, you get 3 cutting boards. And then you can get $600 of free stuff. So I got the big one. I got the ultimate with 12 steak knives. It looks beautiful. We actually use the knives quite a bit. Like, we cook all the time, but we actually use a lot of the specialty knives quite a bit. The only one we really don't use in our house is cleaver, because we don't eat like red meat, and we're not cutting up coconuts. All right, next one. Oh, where did that go? All right, signature set, AKA family set. In my opinion, this is the one that you should be selling all the time. Right? So if you like, even Jared sells the most big sets right now. Jared doesn't sell a lot of ultimate sets, but he does sell a lot of signatures. And when you look at this thing, again, look at the fork. Everything to the left is the homemaker set. And so this set comes with 3 additional knives, 3 additional knives, scissors, 3 additional knives, scissors, and then 10 steak or 10 table. The way that you want to word this, and this is the way I would explain it to you or any customer. Hey, okay, so Mrs. Jones, Cutco's been around since 1949. When Cutco started, we had one set, the homemaker set. So the homemaker was designed for the basic cooking needs in the 40s. And just like everything, you know, life has a little bit more specialties and stuff now. And so over the years, people have kind of evolved with their cooking. And so what the signature set is, this is what I recommend now to most families. That's why we call it the family set. But it's got your like basic tools from the 40s, plus the 3 most popular knives of today. And then we throw in the scissors. And you get the awesome option of being able to get the steak knives or table knives. So, hey, Mrs. Jones, let me explain our 3 most popular knives not in the homemaker. The first one, so guys, you don't need to know all about all the knives in the ultimate. I do think you need to know about the 3 that are here. So the first one is the Hardy Slicer, which is right here. This thing here is like a tailgater's dream. It's awesome for like big anything. So that knife, you can't tell from the image, but is really thick. So like real big, you know, rack of ribs or real thick meat is really good for like summer sausage roll, you know, a summer sausage roll. It's also great for big cheeses, chocolates. It's also awesome for anything that's really like dense. So in our house, we don't do a lot of meats, but we do a lot of like gourd, squash, sweet potato, yam, like those things that are really thick. That thing's awesome for those. Now, somebody who actually cooks, they are just, if you say what I just said, they are sold on that knife. And then you say, all right, and then the next one's the Petite Santoku. That's the smallest chopping knife that we have. Why people love that is because it's really simple to maneuver. It's the finest blade that we have, so you get some real thin slicing, which is great. And also, you know, you think about it, it's not an everyday thing, but it's not uncommon to have more than one person cooking or preparing a meal in the kitchen, right? For get-togethers and that kind of stuff. So this way you have two chopping knives, one larger one smaller one. Okay. And then lastly, the last additional knife is our cheese knife. And let me tell you, Mrs. Jones, that thing is like customer fan favorite. If we were to do a poll, that probably would get number 1. And it's not just for cheese. It's really for anything that sticks to the blade. So think about like apples, Think about potatoes. But you'll find yourself grabbing that knife a lot more than just cheese. So those are the extra pieces. And then you get your choice of 10 table knives or 10 steak knives, and the scissors go in the block. You can kind of tell in the picture there. All right, let me pause there. Any quick questions? Okay. So again, it might take you a moment. I'm recording this, so I'll send this to you if you want to hear me go back through the descriptions of those 3 knives. But part of it is your confidence of being able to state what those are, right? So again, it's basically like, look, the Homemaker is, I don't want to say it's outdated, but we created it in the 40s, right? So people still cook like the same basic stuff, but there's a lot more extra stuff. Think about a set of golf clubs back in the 40s with like 8 clubs. There's a lot more in a set of golf clubs now, right? Because again, there's more specialty items and all that. This doesn't have all the very specific knives, but it does have the 3 that are most popular outside the Homemaker. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to the slides. Your price confidence is really important. Okay, can you guys see, are you guys looking at the slides again? Okay, cool. Here's the difference. Most of you, when you're brand new, you look at a Homemaker price of $1,300 and you're like, ooh, that's a lot. You just got to know it's not. $2,000 to $3,000. This is, I was going through with my wife this morning, getting ready for this message. I said, hey, I texted her. I said, Brooke, give me a few things that are $2,000 to $3,000 that we've spent, like recently. Laptop is just something we talked about, but you guys have all gotten a new laptop. If I get a new MacBook Pro, which I'm looking at, it's gonna be $2,000 to $3,000. Right? How long is that gonna last me? 4 years, right? 10 years, not a chance. It'll last me 4 years, and then I'll get a new one. Now, could I milk it? Yeah, but I also don't need to. So I'll probably use it for 4 years before I move on to a new one. How about a new bike? We moved to the Twin Cities, got new, nicer bikes because all the bike paths. A good bike is like $2,000. Could you get them for cheaper? Totally. How about a trip? If my wife and I want to go somewhere for a weekend trip, it's $2,000 to $3,000. Why? Flights, hotels, we eat out every meal, and we're going to do something fun. Landscaping, we have some people that are going to come and give us quotes on our yard for landscaping. The landscaping one's going to be way more than that. But $2,000 to $3,000 for a family to have their stuff reset once a year, landscaping. And I don't mean mowing. I mean for somebody to come in, do all the bushes and shrubs and get it all ready to go. Blinds, $2,000 to $3,000. We recently replaced a boiler, like a water heater boiler in our house, $2,000 to $3,000. New tires for our car, $2,000 plus. Right? So those are all things that I will have to continue spending money on over and over and over again. And when those things come up, it's like, that sucks. Now, it's part of it is your comfort with $2,000 to $3,000. The other thing is your comfort with $300 to $600 because that's what the payment is, isn't it? So my wife on Monday took my dog to the vet. Right? $484 was the bill. And then she took the dog to the vet again yesterday for more antibiotics for another $120. So we're at $600 this week in vet bills. Right? It sucks, but a lot of people that have pets that are getting older deal with the same thing, right? Last month on a whim, I thought about it for all of 30 minutes. I went and bought a chainsaw because I wanted to get out of the house and do something. So I started cutting stuff up. Right? How much was the chainsaw? It was like $340. How about an insurance deductible? We went to Arizona, rented a Jeep. We cracked the windshield accidentally, a rock, just total happenstance, right? We just got unlucky. Hopped up, broke the windshield. We have to pay $500 insurance deductible that we're paying this week, right? We finally got notified we have to pay it this week. We went to Target last night. We spent $300. Any trip to Costco, $500. We're trying to get our dock put back into the water, $500 for them to come and put it in and take it out at the end of the season. So my point is, when somebody buys a set, they're going to spend $400, $500, $600 for 5 months to have the best set of knives that they'll ever have in their entire lives and never have to get any extra Cutco. Does everybody follow that? These are all things that I have spent money on in the last month that all would be equivalent to a payment. Does everybody follow that? And so what I'm getting at is your comfort with $300 to $400 to $500 is actually what sells this stuff. I'm not saying that $2,000 to $3,000 isn't a lot of money. What I'm saying is families spend it. And I'm not even saying on Cutco. I'm saying families spend money on things all the time. Right? Somebody recently, a rep said, hey, a customer told me they couldn't get it because they couldn't get, it was like a $600 order because they're building a new garage. So they don't have the money. Now, guys, when somebody says that, they literally are just telling on themselves. Like if somebody says, we don't have the money, we're building a new garage, they literally just said this: we don't have the money, we have the money. Does everybody follow that? That's like you asking somebody on a date and being like, you know what, I actually right at this time, I don't date. But later tonight, I'm going on a date. Right? So the point is, if that new construction on the garage costs $600 more, do you think that they would have said no to the garage? No way. They still would have got it. So my point is, it's not, I'm not making this case to customers, by the way. I'm not saying, well, you just spent it on this or this. What I'm saying is what I believe really matters. Why does Jared sell a lot of big sets? Because he's regularly been getting $1,000 paychecks. So now that he's getting $1,000 paychecks, he looks at $1,000 differently. Would you guys follow that? To him, $1,000 isn't as big of a deal now because he's like, oh, I get it every week. So he's getting closer to where like a customer's financial situation is. So who buys these bigger sets? So these are the people that buy the ultimate set. People who love, this is the ultimate, that love to cook. If I love to do something, I'm going to spend more money on it. Wouldn't you guys agree? When you guys love something, you spend more money on it. But if you're 50 or if you're 40, if you're 38 and you love something, your budget for what you can spend on it is a lot more. If you like to golf now, when you're older, you're going to go on golf trips. What does that mean? You pay for a flight, you pay for room and board, you pay for your green fees, which are usually going to be expensive if you're traveling somewhere to play golf, and you're going to buy a bunch of booze while you play and eat out for every meal. If you like to ski or snowboard, right now you're like, oh, I really like it. Maybe once a year I can go somewhere nice. Somebody who's older can go to Colorado. They can go wherever, and that one trip is going to cost them $5,000 plus. So if you really like to cook, it makes sense that you'd want to get this set. Number two is somebody who loves to entertain. If I like to throw parties, if you like to throw parties now at your age, you will probably be the person who likes to throw parties when you're 40. You guys all know, you guys are all friends with families that are like the entertainers. So what I mean by that, they spend extra money on their backyard. They spend extra money on like their basement setup. You guys follow me on this? It's like a really well finished. It's got a bar that maybe the outside, they've got like a built-in grill around a pool or hot tub. Like those are families that like to entertain. I like to entertain. So I like to spend money on things that maybe aren't going to get used all the time. Like if we're going to have a party, I have no problem going to Costco, spending $1,000, getting a bunch of stuff that we're going to use once, because I like to entertain. So a set of knives like this, you know, somebody who sees the ultimate might be like, oh, I'm not going to use this all the time, but when I have guests over, I'm going to want to set the table for 12 with these steak knives. Right? Now, guys, the difference, if somebody's considering a set and they're looking at the difference between table knives and steak knives, this is the phrase that I want you to use. Yeah, Mrs. Jones, they're both great. I'd say the steak knives are typically for people who like to entertain and have people over. The table knives are more for just like everyday, just family. So do you guys like to entertain? That's all you do. You say steak knives are for people who entertain, table knives are for people who don't. Do you guys like to entertain? The customer will self-select and they say, yeah, we like to entertain. Cool. That one's probably for you then. I cannot tell you how many times that's worked where a rep has called and the customer, I've talked to the customer and they're debating and I'm like, well, simple question, Ms. Jones. I've typically found the steak knives are people who love to have people over because they look gorgeous on the table. And then table knives are just for people who are like just cooking for themselves. So do you guys, would you put yourself in that category of entertaining? Oh, you would? Okay, cool. So yeah, then that'd be the steak knives. I'm not selling them. Does that make sense? They're self-selecting. And then third one is somebody who just like likes to have the best of something, right? This is the best brand. That's the best knives. And then the last one is you just got lucky. Sometimes that happens. There are some ultimate set sales that I can't explain. There's no reason that person should have got it. It's just they woke up feeling great that day. You just happened to be in their schedule. They liked you. And they were like, hell, let's do it. Let's get the big one. That happens, okay? Who buys a signature set? In my opinion, every single person that buys a homemaker set is a perfect candidate for a signature. Signatures are literally just families. And that, to me, the difference between homemakers and signatures is more of a rep thing than it is the customer thing. Okay? So let's turn to page 28 in your manual. I'm not going to go through a ton of this just due to time, but I'm going to show you where it's at in your manual. So turn to page 28. So I'm going to read through this with you. So it says, closing on the ultimate set. The objective is not to sell the ultimate set. The objective is to sell more signatures and homemakers. The homemaker becomes the very basic set. It's the third drop down, and it's much more comfortable for a customer. Most customers would associate themselves with your average everyday family. So key phrase during your introduction page, page 1. Hey, as I said on the phone, you don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you like, you can get it today. You can buy sets or individual pieces. We also have tons of accessories and gifts. Hey, and at the end, I'm going to show you our 3 largest sets. I would change this then to the complete set for people who love to cook, the family set for people who like to cook, and the basic set, or a homemaker, which is our basic set and the best average for your everyday family. You guys see that? So there's a little add-in on page 1. Okay. Now, go into your manual. So where this is, where it says the close, nothing changes, same verbiage. At the bottom of page 8, where you typically are saying, hey, when something offers twice the quality, twice the value, lasts twice as long, you'd expect to be twice the price. Twice the price, you're talking over $4,000 for a set of Cutco. So let me show you our complete set, which is twice as big as that. So that would be a value of $8,000 in stores. Everybody follow this? That'd be a value of $8,000 in stores. Let me show you what you get for that. And then you go to showing the complete set, the big one, right? And you say, so this has all the 10 pieces from the homemaker set that I showed you. The hearty slicer, santoku, veggie knife, cleaver, salmon knife, petite slicer, bony knife, cheese knife, 4-inch paring knife, 10 or 12 table knives or steak, the shears, and then all 3 sizes of the cutting boards. And the best thing about this set is it doesn't cost $8,000. In fact, it's not even $4,000. The ultimate set is only, and then you'd tell them the price, right? $30.49 with the steak knives. But most of our customers do this on our 5-month investment option, which would only be $661 for that set, and that includes shipping and tax. So I already gave you the prices, but you'd put those ones in there. And as a buy now bonus, if you get this set, I'd actually buy you $600 shopping spree of free stuff in the back. Okay, so guys, we've got a little wiggle room. Basically, you can give up to $600 of free stuff on the Ultimates, $450 on the Signature. Let me tell you the way I think it actually works best. What I love doing on this, I apologize, I'm going a couple minutes over. What I love doing on this is when a customer, whatever their payment is, I match that in free stuff. So here's how this would sound. So, hey, Mrs. Jones, it seems like you like the set. One of the cool things that I'm able to do on this, it would only be $661 for you to try out that complete set with the steak knives. It has all the knives that you'd ever want, and it has the 12 steak knives. And if you go with that today as a buy now bonus, I basically could cover your first payment in the value of free merchandise. So your payment today would be $661. I can give you up to $661 worth of free stuff. You could use that on gifts. You could use that on barbecue tools. You could use that on some of the gadgets that we have. When I say that, if they pause and don't say anything, I'm like, let me show you what that $661 would get you. And then I'm going to go to the free stuff and I'm going to try and sell them on the free stuff. Does that make sense? So I'm waiting for a pause. If they don't say, oh, no, that's way too much, I'm going to show them how much $661 gets them in free merchandise. And on the one with table knives, it's like $594. So I'd say I'd give you up to $600 of free stuff if you were to go with this. Now, guys, if that doesn't work, then you go down, you go to page 29, which is just the next page. Hey, no problem. Let me show you our set for people who like to cook, and that's called the family set. It has the 10 basic tools plus our 3 most popular. And the best thing about this set, it's actually less than that Wusthof one, even though it's bigger. The family set is only blank. Most customers do it on our 5-pay, which is blank. And then if it's still too big, it's like, no problem. Let me just show you our basic set. This one here is only $289 a month. You guys see the difference with that? Like by the time you get to $289, it's half of the payment of the complete set with steak knives. When you get to starter sets, the whole starter set is equivalent to one payment on the complete. So the neat thing with this is it shapes and shifts what somebody's price expectation is. So now when you're at starter sets, it's just like, oh, well, let me just get this little baby one. Hey, let me tell you, the first time that you do this, you're going to be nervous. But if you can push through the nerves to ask for the order on the bigger set, you will not be nervous to ask for the homemaker anymore. It's almost like you'll return to your comfort area of like, this one's only $13.26. Any questions on this?
Yeah, Dane, I got a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So do we talk about this like after we talk about the homemaker? Because like in the virtual demo, it's like the homemaker and then the 2 bigger sets, and then it goes back to the galley set. So wouldn't it make sense to talk about those 2 bigger ones first?
Well, yeah. So what I'm showing you here with page 28, 29 is giving you the option, if you want, to not reorder your presentation, but instead of going homemaker, galley, starters, you're going to go ultimate, signature, homemaker. So if you want to do that, the challenge then is in your presentation. This is the way I would do it. So you guys are in charge of clicking, right? Since you're screen sharing. So when I'm back, all right, so I just got through the table knife. And then I go through, the storage options and all that. Then I'm going to go through Wusthof. All right, after this, instead of going straight to page 25, what I would go to, so I'm on slide 24, I would grab this and I would go to the complete set. You see this? So in other words, at the bottom of page 8 in your manual, you'd have to click, go to slide, you'd have to write a little note, go to slide 28. Now I'm here. And it's a little reverse. So in other words, now I'm here. If the customer says no to this, I actually got to go back, right? I got to go back to slide 27. If they say no to that, I got to go back to slide 26. So if you know what you're doing, it won't look weird. Like if you know, okay, I'm going to 28 and then back. Does that answer it, Luis? Cool. Any others? Hey, Santoku, Luis, the answer on that, those knives, all the Santoku knives come down to like a point this way instead of going up. So the difference in terms, it's still a chopping knife, but the difference is you can drag the tip through and use that. Whereas on a chef knife, you can't because it goes up. So you'd have to like, you know, it's very different style. Guys, what's my tip to you is if you feel comfortable enough with the demo, throw this in. You just got to understand the first 1 or 2 or 3 times you do it, it's going to feel a little rough like your first demo. But, you know, all of our reps that have been selling for a long time, they'll tell you the higher you start, the higher you finish. And, you know, if you look around at our managers, Elliot, Alex, John Paulson, Colleen, Enrique, Rachel, like most of our managers start with Noah, the higher sets, and that's why they sell more homemakers. Okay. All right, guys.